Hello everyone, welcome back to another Zed Run content video. And in this episode, what I want to talk about is the future of Zed Run, and that's local racing. Let's get into it. Okay, now here's something that I see happening in Zed Run, and one of the things that I hope that gets improved. Now remember, we're still very, very early into this game with the number of players playing this game only being measured really in the tens of thousands. And at some point, we have to believe that if this is ever going to get any legs and really take off, then we should see millions of people playing that game. And so the question comes up, and you have to start asking yourself, what is going to have to happen in order for millions of people instead of tens of thousands of people? What I think is going to be vitally important is having more diversity, especially as it comes to racing and being competitive in racing, and in particular with local racing opportunities. Let me give you an example. See, right now with Zed Run, the only thing that's really competitive is if you have a great horse. And you have to be running on Zed Run, where you're running against the best of the best racehorses that exist in the world. In comparison, that would be like you having to play basketball against Michael Jordan or LeBron James. And the only time you get to play basketball is when you compete against those people. And that makes it very hard for a lot of people to be competitive. And I think that's kind of the bottleneck here right now with Zed Run. And one of the things that I think would really open that up would be allowing for local racing, or having more racetracks where you actually have to be there in order to compete. In order to enjoy the game of poker and to have fun playing poker, you don't have to be the best poker player in the world. We have several different tiers. You can go play in the World Series, you can go play at your local casino, go play at your local card room, but then you can even go play with friends, family. 10, 15 guys can get together once a week and play cards. So you may be very competitive, enjoy the game with 10 or 15 of your friends once a week, but you're not going to be playing in the World Series, but yet you can still enjoy the game of poker. This also happens in a lot of other activities. This also happens in like basketball. Even if you can't compete against Michael Jordan, you can still enjoy the game of basketball. You can play a game of horse, or a game of half quarter, 3-on-3, or you can join your local YMCA and play on Thursday night in an over 50 league. So you have an opportunity to compete and be competitive, even if you're not at the top best of any of those sports. And I think that is going to be one of the futures for Zed Run, especially if it wants to open up to millions and millions of people. Picture this. This is what I think. This is what gets me really excited about the potential future for Zed Run. Picture if we had that ability to compete on multiple levels. So instead of just competing on these Zed races where you have to have a perfect horse, a Z1 Nakamoto, that's just pulling 4, 5, 6 odds, you don't need that. What if you had the ability to have a local club in and around your city? And you had a local Zed Run club. And maybe there's 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 people in this local club. And you have meetings once a week, let's say on a Tuesday or a Thursday. And you can get together with these guys, these gals. You bring your horse, and you have to be at that local club meeting in order to run in the races that are being held by that club. And there is just a variety of ways that these local clubs could be set up. You could have tournaments. You could have pick your 5 horses. One has to be a Buterin. One has to be a Legacy. One has to be a Pacer. You could set up all kinds of things where it's super competitive. Even things like you can only race a horse where if you own the mom and the dad. This would just allow people to really have a very entry level into the game. It would open it up for millions and millions of people to enjoy this game, to get into the game with $50, $100, $200, and then to get together and have a social element of this game where you could get together locally with 10, 15, 20 people and have competitions and tournaments and talk about horses and talk about genetics and breeding and all the geeked out stuff that all of us who are really addicted to Zed Run love. And you could do that on a local level. So instead of now just having your Z1s and your Z2s and your top racers, being the ones that are competitive, you may not be able to be competitive or even enjoy that, but you might be able to beat your local club. And even if you're not beating them, you're enjoying the little bit of competition. And there are things that these local clubs could do to really make sure that everybody's very competitive and interchanging ideas. So I think one of the futures is going to be for Zed Run to have this way, somehow, this unique situation where they can allow these local clubs to exist. Because right now, I love this game. I love breeding horses. I love the Easter eggs. I love the complexity of what's going to happen down the road. And are the horses that are being super competitive right now, are those going to be the same kind of horses that are going to be super competitive? For example, if we go with a tournament structure. But what would really get me, honestly, the racing right now, I don't hardly race horses. I don't have a lot of super competitive horses. I'm enjoying the breeding aspect of the game. I'm enjoying going down the rabbit holes of super coats and all these things as far as different colors. But if you don't have horses that are super competitive right now in the current race structure, that's an element of the game that you're kind of missing out. But if you had local clubs, I just had dinner last night with my brothers, and we got together. I actually started talking to them about Zed Run. They're kind of getting interested. But how cool would that be if you were at the local bar, and you're there with your brothers, or you're having girls' night or guys' night, and you can all be like, hey, let's have a race. All right, and everybody's got to pull out their Zed horse. And, you have Keno on TV right now and things like that. Buffalo Wild Wings, all these places. What if they had a track, and on Thursday night they had Zed Run night? And so you got biker night, you've got ladies night. Why not have like Zed Run night at your local bar? And you go there, and there can be entry fee. There's all different kinds of ways that this could be set up. And it would allow each of the local places to kind of have the opportunity to decide what form of competition is going to be the best for them. I think this is what would allow millions and millions and millions of people to get into the game. I think of Pokemon Go, and I don't know how it is where you're at, but man, you drive around, there's people at weird hours of the day standing outside for these eggs, and I don't understand Pokemon Go. I never really got into it, but I know you don't have to be at the top of the echelon to really enjoy that game and to really get integrated into that game. So whether it's playing poker, or if it's playing basketball, it's an opportunity where even if you're not the best, you can still be competitive and you can still socialize. And this can be like a common language around people who enjoy Zed Run. So if any of the devs out there end up coming across this video, let me know what you guys think. But I really think having the diversity to have local races in Zed Run and allow local clubs and local communities to kind of form their own group, because the level of competition right now is really going to keep some people, I think, out of the game. Some people might be looking at Zed and like, man, those horses are kind of pretty. That's kind of interesting. That's kind of neat. Might be fun. I'd like to check it out. But then, the barrier to entry right now on pricing is high, especially with, the price of crypto going up, which is fair enough, but to spend $100, $150 on a horse which is already raced out and you can't be competitive in any of the racing, and some of the genetics are burned out, and you're only able to compete online, it just really kind of, I think, is going to kill some people who might be interested in getting into the game. If it doesn't kill them on that first step getting into the game, I think it's going to stop them from really falling in love with the game. Where, on the other hand, if you were able to just go out there and buy a $100 horse, $150 horse, and compete locally, and go, hey, let's come with me. Why don't you come with me to Zed Night? What's Zed Night? Oh, come on, we'll have a few drinks. Let's go to the bar. I'll show you what it's all about. And your friend comes with you, and maybe you help them set up their stable, and you show them how MetaMask works, and they get to have an experience on it and be competitive locally, and then they can be like, hey, yeah, I want to buy one of your babies. Why don't we breed? And then next week they're there. I just really think that needs to be the focus of the future of Zed Run. And if Zed Run can pull that off, this game is going to be huge, and the amount of people playing this game is not going to be measured in the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. I don't even think it's going to be measured in tens of millions. I think there's potential for hundreds of millions of people to be able to enjoy this game, especially if they can figure out how to get local racing into the game.